What is everybody? This is Daniel Rock 08 here with our video, and 1999 year in review continues with 1999 SuperBrawl, or at least it was called then SuperBrawl 9, since it was always Roman numeraled until we get to 2000 for whatever reason. The weeks leading up to SuperBrawl 9 were not kind to WCW, as ratings would tank from the 5s to the 4s, and the gap would slowly but surely widen. Eventually, Raw would get high 5s, and Nitro would get the 4s. High 4s, low 4s, somewhere around there. You had atrocious shows after atrocious shows. You had Will Sasso from Mad TV get his revenge on Bret Hart and then cussed and screwing him over, and he would lose his U.S. title to Roddy Piper, all because he got his ass kicked for real apparently on Mad TV. Ric Flair, who at this time was insane. I mean, yeah, Ric Flair's always insane, but shit, he was even more insane here, saying he's the president of the United States, whatever. He'd get his ass kicked by the New World Order almost every week. In fact, one week he's got his ass kicked by the New World Order, who, by the way, were wearing ski masks in the middle of nowhere. I think they were on a farm or somewhere, whatever. And Ric Flair gets his ass kicked. There's millions, there's like dozens of cameramen following them, even 2 in the helicopter or whatever. They reveal themselves, I don't know why. Some guy in a turnip truck picks up Ric Flair. Yeah, a turnip truck. That's random as shit. Picks him up, takes him back to Nitro, where he got his ass kicked along with the Horsemen again. So Nitros were very crappy, and the gap widened slowly and slowly. Ratings were tanking. This is when WCW was really starting to lose edge, was really starting to, the ship was starting to sink. They also lost Paul White, the Big Show, or the Giant in WCW, and he would make his debut at St. Valentine's Day Massacre, which I'll talk about later. But here, SuperBrawl, while ratings were starting to tank, SuperBrawl's buy rate was actually really damn good. It got a 1.1, which is actually really good. Even, and especially in 1999, that is really good. It also was a sellout of almost 11,000 fans, while the last year failed to sell out. This was a sellout. So while the show wasn't great, semi-decent, people in the back were like, yeah, great pay-per-view, made a lot of money. But anyways, let's finally get to the card. And you know what's a semi-decent card? There's a lot of good stuff on this card that could potentially be great. But we opened the show with Booker T defeating Disco and Inferno in a media core decent match. Ends with a Houston hangover. I don't know. It was like they had it, but not really. Disco Inferno was a semi-decent worker. He had a whole disco character. I liked it, and he got a lot more airtime than most people did. And Booker T, he was incredible. But 4 out of 10, 2 stars, decent. Moving on, we get to Chris Jericho defeating Perry Saturn via disqualification in a really nice, solid match. Perry Saturn hit Death Valley Driver on Jericho, did not go for the pin, hit the DVD on the referee, getting his revenge on the referee who screwed him over at the last month's pay-per-view. It sold out by having him wearing a dress. This is a good match. I don't know why Perry Saturn had to get disqualified. I don't understand why couldn't he just beat Jericho, get the 1, 2, 3, and then get revenge on the referee. But You know, solid match, 6.5 out of 10, solid stuff. It's a nice, solid match, and it's nice to have on this card that was so media core. Next up, we have Billy Kidman defeating Chavo Guerrero in a disappointing Cruiserweight Championship match. They tried. There was a huge outside dive, but overall, this Cruiserweight title match wasn't great. It wasn't very good. It was media core at best. I give it 2.5 stars, 5 out of 10. Next up, we have... Now, the following coming up here is kind of weird. You had the WCW Tag Team Championships. Benoit and Malenko had to beat Curt Hennig and Barry Windham to earn a championship title match. So they go at it here in a non-tag team title match. And this was a good, solid tag team non-title match. Benoit and Malenko would pick up the victory, and then later, and then right when the match is over, that's when they had to beat them again. So the idea is Malenko and Benoit had to beat them once to get the once in a contendership match to get the title shot, and then they had to beat them again to win the tag team titles. Once when Benoit and Malenko beat Barry Windham and Curt Hennig, though, about 5 seconds afterwards, Barry Windham whips out a belt and starts choking Malenko out with it, and he surrenders. So Benoit and Malenko won the first match, but then the second match hit for the title match, and it lasts about 30 seconds, and they look really, really bad. I mean, they beat them, and then they lost. So they didn't even win the tag titles. Why not? Makes no sense. A fine, kind of decent match, but it's really 2 matches, but I'm just ranking it as 1. Reviewing it as just 1 because it's just... But I don't like the ending. I would give it 3 stars, but I have to give it 2.5. 5 out of 10. Then here comes here comes a very controversial big... Here's what, when a lot of people watch SuperBrawl 9, this is what's probably remembered by most. This is the show when Rey Mysterio was unmasked for the first time, and we haven't seen him unmasked since then. So we have this tag team match between the Outsiders and Konnan and Rey Mysterio. If Rey and Konnan wins, Ms. Elizabeth, the valet of the Outsiders, has to be shaved bald. If the Outsiders win, Rey Mysterio is unmasked. This is a solid, good match. Rey Mysterio starts kicking their ass, do all they can, using his speed, using his quickness, using the agility he has, using a lot of springboard maneuvers, a lot of quick time moves, a lot of flips. Knocks down Nash. But Hall, the illegal man, hits the Outsider's edge. Nash gets the victory, and Rey Mysterio gets unmasked. He used to look like he was 20 years old. Now, with the mask unmasked, he looks like he's 13. I don't know why they decided to have him unmasked. I guess Bischoff thought it was more profitable being unmasked. That makes a whole lot of sense. Here's a luchador who was so beloved by the people, and now he's just unmasked. That was his life. Complete and utter humiliation. If you like, I don't really understand. I don't get the whole mask thing that much, but from my understanding, it's almost religious in a way. And down in Mexico, when he would return to Mexico, he got heavily booed. for being unmasked. So didn't do a whole lot of good for Rey Mysterio. However, this is a solid match. I give it a 6.5 out of 10. 3 stars and a fourth, which that would be. Then we got Scott Steiner versus Diamond Dallas Page in a television title match. Scott Steiner would pick up the victory when Buff Bagwell would interfere at all costs, taking down the turnbuckle. DP chasing after Buff Bagwell. Scott Steiner gets in the Steiner recliner, and DDP passes out or whatever, gets the victory. A solid match. I get 3 stars, 6 out of 10. Fine match. Too much interference. So once again, the NWO wins, and they actually win every single match here. So moving on. Scott Hall is double booked in the tag team match against Ray and Conan. It was supposed to be Luger. Luger got hurt, so he replaced him. So he's double booked here. As I said at the beginning, Roddy Piper is your United States champion because Brett was the champion and he got screwed by Will Sasso. So here you have a 50-year-old man or whatever with 2 broke hips or whatever wrestling Scott Hall, who at this time was fighting his own demons and was normally drunk. To say it wasn't good for Scott Hall either. And Roddy Piper couldn't be in worse shape. And this match clearly showed that. Roddy Piper is over the hill, and Scott Hall is starting to lose his edge. This match is atrocious. This match is crap. This is abysmal. This is shit. And I give it a 0. A dud. Scott Hall would pick up the victory and become your United States champion. Then we get Goldberg defeating Bam Bam Bigelow in a weird big man versus bigger man match. Most big man versus bigger man match would be a lot of power moves, a lot of stiff clotheslines, a lot of, the type of thing where you go for one clothesline, doesn't knock him down, and go for a second and a third, finally knocks him down. The smaller guy has to, do the same move to him just to knock him down, and it's a big struggle. Well, Goldberg's not that much smaller than Bam Bam, and this match is boring. Boring. You get a whole different surprise here. It's mostly submission holds. It's mostly a lot of wrist locks, wrist holds, boring shit, not what we want to see. Goldberg beats Bam Bam. I get it a 4 out of 10. Then we get to the main event. We got 2 over-the-hill guys, 2 old guys who was old then. We had Hulk Hogan defeating Ric Flair for the WCW Championship. Yeah, it's the World Heavyweight title on the line, and they're still having the fucking old people go for it. Even though they're still the top guys, need some young blood in there. Jeez, need some new blood in there. But this was actually a semi-decent match. I give it a 5.5, almost a 6, almost solid. Busted open, of course, is Ric Flair. This was really good until the finish. And the finish kind of really stupid. Here comes this masked man. They think it's Bischoff. And it ends up being David Flair. He turns on Ric Flair and joins the New World Order. And the millionth person joins the New World Order, and it's David Flair, who doesn't want to be a wrestler, who doesn't want any part of the wrestling business, but they book him, and they book him, and they book him, and he realizes, hey, the wrestling business is not so bad, the paychecks are really good. So he goes training for the power plant, but WCW just keep booking him and booking him and booking him, and he wasn't ready. He's not ready to take on this spot, and he would have many, many, many more matches. I don't know why. Semi-decent match. The ending was stupid, though. Overall, SuperBrawl 9, while it did great success in the buy rates and attendance, of course that make people happy. I give this show a 4.7 out of 10. Almost just one notch, just a 0.1 shy of sold out. So sold out's slightly better. Next up is St. Valentine's Day Massacre for the WWF side, and then we get to the atrocious uncensored. Goodbye.